If you want 2026 to look different than 2025, then it's not love. It's really about connections and habits. And those small little habits that you do every single day, they add up. So today we're at Success Through Connections, and I'm your host, Zelda. And my guest today is Doug Wilder. He is a business coach. He owns Wilder Success, and he's been a coach for over 30 years now. And I met him when he first started way back when, and he coaches hundreds and hundreds of people from CPAs and attorneys to business executives. You name it, he's probably coached them. And he is all about helping people find their why and helping them do better when it comes to selling their products, selling their services, or maybe just their ideas, getting them going. So that's what we're all about today. And I'm so happy to have Doug with us. So welcome, Doug, to Success Through Connections.
It's great to be here, Zelda. It's good to see you again. Yes, we have known each other for so long.
I know. It's like I got some grays under here. I don't think I did that then. Logic great. Yeah, I'll tell you. But it's a good thing because this is the better place to be. So, hey, I
Yes.
want to dive right in because we had a little talk a while ago about creating habits and some interesting books that we've read. So, I want to just dive right in for our audience and let's talk about how to create a better 2026. If
Yes.
because why not do better? It's like,
Right.
why not? So, when you think about starting a new year strong, what are some of the very first habits that someone should start with as the business owners or entrepreneurs or just somebody in their career? What are some of those little things you can do to start kicking it off that it's a great year?
Right. Well, I think one of the main things is decide what you want this year to look like, the new year, 2026. Is it going to be just another year, or do you want it to be something really special? And if you want it to be very special, I recommend thinking in bold terms and saying, okay, wow, what if I could do this? And so that's the first step is deciding what you want. And it could be in the physical world, going to exercise more, or whether it's a diet or whatever it might be that's going to set your life right. Decide what those are. And then financially, what are the activities you need to do to make it a better world for yourself? And also, how are you going to just enjoy life more? So I think coming up with that concept of and the picture, and sometimes people draw pictures of it, some people they write it down. I recommend making it physical. So making it a written plan, or a written, first of all, before you do the plan, written vision of what you want. Because I think that's how things get started. Once you have that, then you get into creating this world, this
Yeah.
implementing this plan. And that's when we really get into habits.
So what's the difference between, you know, coming up with the vision and the goal?
Right. Well, the vision, as I always see it, is the long range future of what you want for your life. This is what you see. And then I even break it down into a mission. A mission to me is the first dramatic step towards accomplishing the vision. So, yeah, we want world peace, but Mission Impossible says we're going to go knock out the dictator of this Nicaraguan cartel, something like that. So that's the mission. And then sometimes we have a hard time coming up with a mission. And so what a lot of my clients will do is they'll say, well, here are my goals. And sometimes we take a wild goal that they've got for the next several months, maybe the next year, maybe the next couple of years. And we say, okay, that wild goal, let's make that part of the mission. But in any case, that's the goal that we're just going to be focused on. The goals can change from time to time. Mission, in my opinion, can change. And by the way, there's so many different definitions of goals, mission, vision. So you almost have to decide how do you want to define it? And then just set it out there and make it happen. Most important thing is we want you to be successful.
True. So I know that one of your books that you love to talk about is Atomic Habits.
Yes.
So in that book, it talks about small actions compounded over time is the way to go. So what are maybe some of the smallest networking habits that you can implement that will make the biggest impact.
Right, right. So as I'm thinking about some of the habits, what are some of the action steps that you want to take, particularly if it's networking? Okay, so I want to go to 5 meetings this month, let's say. And there's a little more than one a week. Normally I do about 20 meetings a week. So I mean a
I
month.
know you're the
So
networking king. I know that. You're everywhere. You're
I just love it. I love going to meeting. I love meeting people.
20.
So for me, it's easy. But for some of my clients, it's not that easy. So we just say, okay, how many meetings can you make? And if they can make only one, great. Then we're going to make it work. And we say, okay, go to a meeting. Let's say there's 100 people there. And you say, okay, I can't meet 100 people, not even at this meeting and not afterwards, too. But maybe there's four, maybe it's 3 to 5 people. And so I recommend before the meeting even starts, pick out the number of people that you're going to get in front of, that you're going to meet at this meeting. And let's just say you choose three. Okay, so 3 people. So you just go meet 3 people that you think you might have a relationship with. And then from there, I start sorting them. I sort 100 people to three. And then from those three, I say, okay, what's the relationship going forward? Is it somebody that I might want to refer business to them? Okay. Or maybe they might want to refer business to me or to one of my clients. Or maybe they might become a client of mine somewhere down the road. Or finally, maybe the fourth category I would sort them into is maybe just an associate, just somebody I should know. A fifth category might be no relationship going forward. So basically, and so if I can sort them into one of those 5 categories,
Mhm.
now all of a sudden it's manageable. And I start saying, okay, here's where I'm going to go with it. You mentioned the book Atomic Habits. And one of the great concepts that it talks about in that book is habit stacking. And that's
Right.
stacking one habit on top of another. And so that's what that's what gets me through the day, gets me certainly through my morning. If I didn't have habit stacking, I'd be late every morning to work. I'd be late. I would probably stay in bed, hit the snooze button, because what happens is the alarm goes off and I leap out of bed. I don't hit the snooze button. I leap out of bed. And so that's one habit. The next habit is I'm going to grab a bottle of water and I'm going to drink 12 gulps. I guess I'm counting them, yes. I'm crazy like that. I analyze everything. So I take 12 gulps of water,
Mhm.
and then and just as I'm leaping out of bed, by the way, I clap my hands and say, "This is gonna be a great day."
You're
Then I
kinda
take the
doing the Mel Robbins 5, 3, 2, what 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. What the
Absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah.
the 5
Yeah,
second
yeah, yeah.
rule. The 5
Yeah, I love that, and her book called
the 5
what's
second
that?
rule.
The 5-second rule. Absolutely, I love that. So when I'm standing up ready to do my exercises, I can be looking at my phone. I can be doing all kinds of things that I want to delay doing my exercise. So I say 5, and as soon as I say 5, I know what comes next. 4, 3, 2, 1. By the time I get to 1, I have to be down on the floor doing my planking. And so
So you have a big routine that you do every morning. That's
every morning.
your stacking. Are there any stacking rules for and that's for you personally that you can tell us about for business?
Absolutely. All day long. Yeah. So um, when getting a business card from somebody,
Uh-huh.
writing on there, okay, I'm going to send them a photo that I took of them. I'm going to, so writing on the card, that's a habit. Then either I put it into, or my marketing manager, Alana, she puts it into the CRM. And then once we get it in the CRM, I'm going to make a decision. Probably, hopefully, I've already made a decision what my follow up with that person is going to be. And so that's another habit. So these habits are stacked one on top of another.
So let me ask you, so a lot of people being consistent seems to be a real tough thing. It's just like
Yes.
it's like when I first started podcasting years ago, it was not consistent. Like this year, it's been the most consistent ever. So even going to networking events, it can get inconsistent. So, what are some of the things that you can recommend for people to stay consistent on going to these networking events? And, they say, I don't have time to network. What are some habits, some good habits? I'm going to say good habits to stay consistent and doing and staying on task for going to networking events.
Yes, often the idea is to be held accountable and have encouragement. So I build in people around me that can encourage me and hold me accountable to doing the things that I'm supposed to do, whether it is networking or it's writing my book or calling people. So I've got this program called OMC, which stands for One More Client. And so I know I'll get one more client if I meet with 10 to 20 people. I meet the 10 to 20 people, one of them will become a client. I don't care which one. I know that 9 to 19 of them are not going to be clients, and that's fine. And I just want to meet as many people as I can, and that's how I find my clients. So OMC means, and I have people holding me accountable to it to say, all right, did you make your 5 calls that I need to make for this week to get in front of people? And so it's a pretty simple process, and it just works to have being held accountable for it.
How in the world do you not get exhausted? You're going to 20 meetings a day. I mean, a week, a day.
A month, 20 a month, okay.
Okay, it's 20 a month.
20 a month, that's much easier.
Okay, I
Right.
thought you said it was 20 a week.
I made that mistake. I said 20 a
Okay.
each. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, now this sounds more doable because I'm thinking, how in the world do you go to 20 a week, do all the things you do personally
Right.
in the mornings, then have time to do follow-up phone calls? I was like, when do you have time to take a breath?
Right, right, right. No,
So 20 a month. Okay.
I only do 20 a month. So that means like 4 to 5, let's say 5 a week. So
Okay,
I get
that's
one a day.
doable, one a day. Yeah.
That's doable. That's easy.
Okay. Now it makes more sense, but I was thinking, how in the world does he do 20 of them a week?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of all the networking events I even know of. I don't know of 20 a week.
Uh-huh,
I'm
uh-huh.
sure there are more than 20, but I'm just like, "Woo."
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, yeah.
okay, that makes more sense. So, when you coach people, how do you coach people through, the inevitable stage of where they're trying to build new habits, but yet they just don't see the results? We're all into this, "I want it now," but you don't get it right this second. So, how do you coach them through that?
Well, we've set up formulas. For instance, in the networking process, if I'm going to meet 10 to 20 people in a month and I'm going to and one or two of those may become clients of mine, at that point, once I make that decision on the formula, then that's where my focus is. So I'm measuring the activities that I can control. I'm not measuring the dollars that are coming into my pocket because I can't reach into the pockets of potential clients and pull money out. That
Right.
I don't have, yeah, that would be wrong. Anyway, but so what happens is that if I think about that, I can I can now measure what are my activities. And that's what keeps me consistent.
Okay. Well, consistency is where it's at, that's for sure.
Yes.
So how can someone take their current network, who they have now, and amplify it and just by changing maybe one or two behaviors?
Right, right. Well, part of it is if you know who you are and what makes you unique, and then you can talk to people and say, this is what I'm these are my clients. You have your own network already. So you can go back to your network and say, this is what I'm trying to accomplish. Who do you know that might help me accomplish this? And most people will be happy to help you get what you want.
Yeah.
And so that's sort of the concept there.
Yeah. I think people feel good when they're able to help someone else. It's like a feeling.
Absolutely.
It's like charity. It's like it
Yeah.
feel
Yeah.
good. Makes you
That's
feel
right.
yeah. In fact, I did that, I think it was maybe even this morning. I'm looking for some very specific people for the podcast. So I just reached out into my network and said, "Hey, I got some people I want to meet if anyone knows any of these people."
Right.
Let
Perfect. Perfect. That's a great idea.
Like, just ask what it's
Just
that's
ask.
how I get people. I mean, I don't even remember who it was, but I was asking them a question. Oh, I know, it was a big shot. I'll just say it was a big shot. It was a big shot. It's Jimmy Burgess. He's very well known in the real estate realm. And I just was asking him, I go to his mastermind class and I was asking him if he records his mastermind because I had to miss one that I really wanted to catch. And then at the end of the email that I sent him, I said, "Well, since I'm asking,
Uh-huh.
by the way, I'd love to
By
have
the
you
way,
on my
perfect.
podcast." I'm like, I said, "What do I have to lose?"
Right.
And I
That's right.
recruited him about a week or 2 ago.
Perfect. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, what's the
Yeah.
worst that happens? They say no or they ignore you.
Right, right. That's right. Exactly.
So,
Yeah.
but you
It
just
works.
but you be consistent, that's all. I'm consistently
Yeah.
asking people. So, what is the one networking habit that people should stop doing because it kills opportunities?
Yeah. So one of the things that if somebody goes, some of us call it in the networking business, we call it sliming. And sliming means when you're trying to sell without the permission to sell. So in other words, if you go to a meeting, a networking meeting, and all of a sudden you're trying to say, "Hey, I've got the best services, you need to buy from me." Well, it comes across pushy, it comes across bold, bold is okay, but aggressive. There's a difference between being aggressive and being assertive. Assertive is when you make yourself feel uncomfortable. Aggressive is when you make the other person feel uncomfortable.
Yes, yes.
And so the idea is there's a balance in there, but to push yourself, but not so much that it makes other people feel uncomfortable.
That
So there's a way of finessing to get people to say, "Oh, so what is it you do?" And then you can describe what you do. Sometimes I'll talk to somebody for 15, 20 minutes, and then they'll say, "Oh, by the way, what do you do?" And now I've been listening to them, and I just normally say, "Well, I listen to people," because that's what I've been doing.
I listen to people, which is exactly what I did, exactly.
Yeah, that's right.
It's like when you're online networking, and the people on LinkedIn are very notorious for this. They want to connect with you, so they
Yes.
send you a message, and as soon as you do, they're all about or not even before you even accept them, they're selling.
Right.
Like, they're in sell mode, and
Yeah.
I'm like, "You don't need" so I'm very careful, and so I know me, I'll go in and start investigating who they are before I accept them. Do you have any tips for people before they accept these random people on their social media?
Yeah, I delete a lot of people who are requesting to link in with me. So the people that link in with me, there's usually some reason. Either I've met them before, often, or sometimes they're connected in some way and they say, "Hey, I was talking to Jack and Jack said that I ought to connect with you." Then I'll connect with somebody.
Mhm.
If they're from out of town, then I'm thinking, okay, I need to see something from them very quickly that says they are not going to. I get a lot of people who saying, "I work with coaches to increase their bottom line to a 5-figure per week," and I just delete those. I
I get them for
mean,
real estate, I get them from my website, all the time
yes,
my website. It's like, "Rick
right.
can improve your website." Well, good for you.
Yeah, right, those are deleted right away.
Yeah.
So and I appreciate the ones that start off with, "Let us improve your website," because then I know to delete them really quick.
Yeah.
Um, and so but others will say, "Hey, I saw you at an event." Sometimes they may even say, "I think I can help you with this," and if I met them at an event and they're saying that, then I may say, "Okay, they may need some instruction, some guidelines on how to approach people." So I might even link with them and say, "Now, it's interesting approach that you had. Is that working for you?" And because maybe they become a coaching client of mine. I
That's
love dysfunction. So if someone's acting dysfunctionally, it's great.
you can help them.
Exactly.
So, I wanted to ask you if how can someone take their current well, not their current network, but what if someone that's listening today and they say, "I only wanted to adopt one new habit moving forward." What
Yeah.
would be the one that you would recommend to start them on the right tracks for business success for 2026 and
Yeah.
why?
This is going to sound a little strange,
Oh,
but I would say make your bed ev-
okay.
every morning, because
Okay.
what it does is when I make the bed, I do it every morning. I make the bed. It says to the whole rest of the day, if I'm consistent, if I rise to the level of excellence, I'm going to have a great day. And so I know it's oversimplification. I just find that works. This actually all started years ago when some good friends of mine, husband and wife in a business, they were owned a business, and they said, our son is really not achieving what he needs to achieve. And he was in his 20s.
Mhm.
And so I started coaching him on their behalf. And and this was probably 20 years ago. And I was telling the kid, if you start your day off right, everything gets better. As a matter of fact, if you make your bed and I was thinking, I don't make my bed every morning.
You're telling
So immediately on that day, and ever since, I've made my bed every morning. And maybe might miss 5 days out of 365 at the most.
I try. I'm not that.
But it really does
You're
set the
right.
tone for the rest of the day. And
So make
so
your bed.
just make your bed.
Your bed. And I'll tell you, one of the habits that I started doing through a guest who was on the show, and I had the guilty habit of, you know, my body just wakes itself up. I don't have an alarm. And I would instantly go grab the phone to see who's been texting me and over
Right.
what. I don't do that anymore. Now it is the sky before the screen. I will open the curtains. I will look at the sky before I look
Wow.
at that screen. And that has helped me so much. It's like, "No, Zelda, go out there and look at the sky, do a little meditation." I don't care if it's a 60-second meditation, but you do those things before you open the phone. Because once you open that phone, you're done.
Yeah. Yeah. I have just started a walking campaign. So this morning I was up before the sun came up and I was walking in the neighborhood. And then I saw the sun come up and it just set my day off. And I was noticing as I was walking, I wasn't using other than tracking my walking, I was not using the phone. I didn't check the news,
Yeah.
didn't check anything. I just out there to look at the architecture and the trees and the people and the dogs. And it was just a wonderful, relaxing moment.
That is wonderful. So we're just about at the end of our time here. So
Yes.
I wanted to ask you, how can our listeners reach you? They want to coach, they need some advice, they want to hire you, or I know you've got a book you're in the process of. How do they connect with you, Doug?
All right. The easy way to do it is to go to my website, wildersuccess.com. And there's all kinds of ways to connect there. Anybody can email me, DOUG, at Wilder, WILDER, success, SUCCESS.com. Or somebody would just want to call me on my cell phone. I take calls, they call me at 904-705-4567. What happens is if they're not in my database, it'll go to voicemail, and then they just leave a message letting me know how they're connected, and why they wanna talk to me.
Awesome. And we'll put that in the show notes, so it'll be
Okay,
there.
good.
So I have one final question. It is my signature question that I ask all my guests, which is we're called Success Through Connection. So it's all about our connections. So can you share a brief story of how an opportunity presented itself to you because of a connection that you had?
Yeah, absolutely. I was at a networking event, saw a guy that I've seen from time to time over the years, and he knew that I worked on succession planning and getting people who are dysfunctional to start working together, and so he said, I've got this, I'm not a client, but I know this individual who has inherited a business from the parent. The parents obviously passed away, and they need a guiding hand on how to run the business because they had no training, no education in how to run the business. And so certainly that turned into a wonderful piece of business not just for me, but because I was able to help this individual and all the employees that were there, the tens and tens of employees that worked there, on how to stay focused, focused on the core values, focused on the mission, and the company's doing extremely well. So yeah, yeah. So all through networking, just through connections, it's amazing what can happen.
That's so true. That's a great story. And that is the end of our show for this week's episode of Success Through Connections. Be sure that y'all hit the subscribe button. That's how we get to keep going, by you subscribing. And remember that success does not happen in isolation. It happens because of the connections that we have. And in today's world, connections is your currency, and connections that's the power move. So that's what you need to do. So keep reaching out, keep making connections. And until next week, this is Zelda Greenberg with Success Through Connections. I'll see you next week.